بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, and we send salutations upon the best of mankind. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Once a Sahabi, a companion by the name of Sahl ibn Hunayf. Sahl ibn Hunayf. He was with a group of companions with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were traveling together from Medina to Mecca. From Medina to Mecca. And on the way, they stopped in an area called Nazzar. Nazzar is a place between two mountains outside of Mecca. They stopped in a place called Nazzar. And Sahl ibn Hunayf, he decides to take a bath. And we all know there were no conventional showers as such. People would just go in one area, secluded area, they would get some water, they would bathe themselves. But when bathing, they would always cover what needs to be covered. They would cover their satar, or their awra. So he had his awra covered, and he was taking a bath. His top was naked, he never had anything on. And another Sahabi by the name of Amir ibn Rabi'a. His name was Amir ibn Rabi'a. This companion was one of the first companions to accept Islam. By the way, just as a side point, when we study any hadith, when we study any part of seerah, generally what happens is a lot of the time we hear a lot of names, and these names of places, of people, they fly over our heads. It's a good idea to keep these names in mind, because when that name pops up in another story somewhere else, or when that name of a place pops up somewhere else, it puts everything, it puts the entire seerah into perspective. So I'll just give you a bit of background knowledge on Amir ibn Rabi'a. Amir ibn Rabi'a was one of the first companions to accept Islam in Mecca. Not a famous companion, very rarely would we hear of his name. He actually embraced Islam before Umar radiallahu anhu, which gives us an idea how early he was in Islam. Not only that, he migrated to Habasha twice, and he was also among the second group of companions to migrate from Mecca to Medina. He was amongst the very first people to migrate from Mecca to Medina. Not only that, he participated with the Prophet ﷺ in every single one of his expeditions. From Badr until the last expedition of the Prophet ﷺ, he was with him in all the major expeditions. So this is no ordinary Sahabi, he is a very high ranking Sahabi. Amir ibn Rabi'a. Amir ibn Rabi'a. So Amir ibn Rabi'a, he sees Sahl ibn Hunayf taking a bath, and he sees the body of Sahl ibn Hunayf, and he's so amazed by this very well built body of Sahl ibn Hunayf. He says, مَا رَأَيْتُكَ الْيَوْمِ, I've never seen a body like this before. وَلَا جِلْدَ مُخَبَّأَ, I've never seen even the body, and he's just describing this. The word مُخَبَّأَ in Arabic is a woman, a young girl, a young woman who has not spent a lot of time in the sun, not spent a lot of time outside the house. So her skin has not been affected by the sun. So her skin is still very pure. This is the depth of the Arabic language. He says his body is even better than a body of such a woman. He says this with his tongue. And at that moment, فَلُبِطَ سَهْلٌ, Sahl ibn Hunayf, he falls down. And in some narrations it says that Sahl ibn Hunayf, he also he has a fever. He suddenly has a fever. His temperature goes really high, and he can't stand up properly. He's very weak. And so the companions don't know what to do. They're panicking. They pick him up. They take him to the Prophet ﷺ, and they say, هل لك في سهل شيء? Do you have anything? والله ما يرفع رأسه. Sahl ibn Hunayf is so weak he can't even lift his head up. He's almost unconscious. Can you give us something to do? So the Prophet ﷺ says, هل تتهمون فيه أحد? Do you think that anybody could have cast an evil eye on him? Do you accuse him? Do you have any idea that a certain individual may have cast an evil eye on him? Obviously the Prophet ﷺ could see the effects of the evil eye on this companion, on Sahl ibn Hunayf. The evil eye is what we refer to in our languages as Nazzar, or in Arabic it's referred to as Ayn. In English we call it the evil eye. It's a concept which is accepted in all major religions, in Christianity, in Hinduism, and even people of no faith who believe in spirituality, they believe in this concept. And inshallah we'll discuss this further. But just moving on to the hadith, the companion said, yes, there was a certain Sahabi, Amir ibn Rabi'a. He looked at him, he said these words. So he said, call Amir ibn Rabi'a, call him to me. So when Amir ibn Rabi'a, the person who cast the evil eye unintentionally, when he came to the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith says the Prophet ﷺ became angry upon him, and he says, Halla barrakt. When he saw this body of this individual, fair enough, you didn't want to see it, your eyes happened to see him, but when you saw him, you should have made dua of barakah for him. You should have said, Allahumma barik lahu, barakallahu feek, barakallahu feek, whoever it is. When you see something, the Prophet ﷺ said, when you see something you are amazed by, then you should make dua of barakah for that individual or for that thing. And after this, the Prophet ﷺ says, اغتسل له. The Prophet ﷺ said, wash yourself for him. Wash yourself for him. What this means, and the hadith says this as well, is that after this, Amr ibn Rabi'ah, he washes his hands, his face, his arms, his elbows, his knees, his feet, and the inside of his trousers. Inshallah, we'll cover this in detail later. But the hadith says he washed the inside of his trousers. This water was then taken to Sahl ibn Hunayf and was poured on top of him. And the hadith says, as soon as this water was poured on top of him, the effects of this Nazzar, the effects of this evil eye disappeared immediately. And when the companions left, because obviously Khazar was outside Makkah, when the companions, the day after when they left for Makkah, Sahl ibn Hunayf also left with them, he was fully cured. So inshallah, in these few minutes that we have, I'd like to discuss just a few brief points on the concept of the evil eye, of Nazzar. What does Islam say about it, and how we should treat it. So firstly, what we need to understand is Islam, and as Muslims, we do believe in the reality of the evil eye. We do believe in the reality of Nazzar or Ayn. The Prophet ﷺ says, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يأمرني أن أسترقي من العين. Aisha radiallahu anha, who is the narrator of this hadith, she says, the Prophet ﷺ would encourage us to do ruqya. Ruqya meaning recite certain du'as from Nazzar, from Ayn. So when we would, if you would fear that a certain person would be afflicted by the evil eye, or we know that a certain individual has been afflicted by the evil eye, the Prophet ﷺ would encourage us to read ruqya, to read certain du'as or certain surahs on this individual. And the Prophet ﷺ says in another narration, أكثر من يموت من أمتي بعد قضاء الله وقدره بالعين. The Prophet ﷺ said that the cause of death, and I won't translate this hadith, I'll explain it inshallah. The major cause of death in this ummah will be because of Ayn, because of Nazzar. Okay. Now obviously the hadith also mentions بعد قضاء الله وقدره. Everything happens through the permission and the qadr and the predestiny of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether a person dies from cancer, whether a person dies from having a flu, whether a person dies from a car accident, these are all things which are under the qadr, under the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But as far as asbab are concerned, as far as reasons relating to this dunya are concerned, the major reason why people will die from this ummah, bil ayn, these are the words of the Prophet ﷺ, will be because of Nazzar, will be because of the evil eye. And not only this, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ says in another hadith, Al-aynu tudkhilu al-rajul al-qabra wa tudkhilu al-jamal al-qidra. The evil eye is so powerful that it has the capability, obviously with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has the capability of taking a person to his grave. And taking a camel to the pot. I.e., when a person has evil eye cast upon him, it can have so much influence on his health that it can lead to his death, and it can have so much influence on a camel, on an animal, on anything materialistic, that when this camel becomes ill, the owners think there's no point in keeping this camel until it dies. We might as well slaughter it and benefit from its meat. So it takes the camel from being a healthy, living, nice, normal camel right until the pot, right until becoming the food of an individual. So the first thing we learn is that the Prophet ﷺ has established, and Islam does establish, the fact that the evil eye does exist, and this is not something we can deny. Although it's not something we fully can understand 100%, it's not something that we can deny. This is something which Islam establishes, and it's something which we must all believe in. So this is the first point. The evil eye exists, and it's real. And the second thing we need to understand is that the evil eye can be cast not only from humans, but it can also be cast from jinns. Okay. And before I move on to this point, before I move on to the hadith explaining this point, just to give us a better idea of what Nazzar is, first of all, Nazzar or Ayn or evil eye, inshallah, let's stick with evil eye from now on. This evil eye is not necessarily cast with the eyes. Okay, this is something which comes out from the soul of an individual. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions regarding the ruh, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. The affairs and the matters relating to the soul, we don't have a lot of knowledge about them, about it. We have very limited knowledge about the soul. So Nazzar, evil eye, can be cast, or is cast rather, from the soul, not from the eyes. That's why a blind person can also cast an evil eye if something is described to him. Not only that, if somebody hears a good voice, not sees an individual, but he hears a good voice, he can also cast an evil eye. Evil eye is a metaphorical sense on this individual. Somebody can imagine something and be amazed by it. So I can describe a building, I can describe an individual, I can describe an animal, somebody's wealth. And just by imagining this wealth of this individual, evil eye can be cast upon it. It's like an arrow which comes out from the soul, intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes it can hit its target, sometimes it can miss its target, sometimes it can hit the target, but the target is well armed by certain ad'i, by certain du'as. So although it hits the target, it doesn't affect that individual. So we need to understand that the evil eye comes from the soul, not necessarily from the eyes. And not only can it be cast by humans, it can also be cast by the jinn. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ went into the house of Salama, one of his wives, and he saw a girl there, and he saw the effects of the evil eye on this girl's face, and he said, "Inna biha saf'a." Saf'a. What saf'a means is, again, the Arabic language is very deep. Saf'a is the effect of an evil eye which becomes apparent on the face color changes, but the word saf'a is in specific relation to an evil eye which is cast from a jinn. So Prophet ﷺ said, this girl has been cast, is under the effect of the evil eye, so recite certain du'as on her to get rid of this evil eye. So the first thing we learn is that the evil eye is true, it's real, it's not something which is made up, and it's something which we believe in 100%, and it's something which the Prophet ﷺ has taught us about. Number two, the evil eye can be cast by humans and can be cast by jinn as well. The third point is somebody who casts an evil eye does not necessarily do it out of an evil intention. Okay, so going back to the hadith we started with, the hadith of Sahl ibn Hunayf and Amir ibn Rabi'a. One of the reasons I mentioned all the fada'il, all the virtues of Amir ibn Rabi'a, he took place in all the battles of the Prophet ﷺ. He accepted Islam before Umar radiallahu anh. He was from amongst the first people to migrate from Makkah to Medina. This Amir ibn Rabi'a, when he saw the body of Sahl ibn Hunayf, he never intentionally wanted to cause harm to Sahl ibn Hunayf, but this came out of him unintentionally. So the evil eye, although a lot of the time it's because of hasad, because of jealousy, it can also be cast unintentionally. Okay, so just because we're going to a gathering of our family members only, or just because the people we're going to meet are pious people, that doesn't mean an individual cannot be affected by the evil eye. He can still be affected by the evil eye. So number one, we learned that the evil eye is real, it's something we believe in. Number two, it can be cast by humans or jinn. And number three, it does not necessarily have to be done with an evil intention. It can be done by mistake as well. And number four is, the evil eye is not only cast from one individual to another, the evil eye can be cast upon yourself, and upon your own wealth by yourself, or upon your own children, upon your own wife, upon your own family members. In fact, upon yourself, it's possible for an individual to cast an evil eye. The Prophet ﷺ mentions in a hadith, إِذَا رَأَى أَحَدُكُم مِّن نَفْسِهِ أَوْ مَالِهِ أَوْ مِنْ أَخِيهِ مَا يُعْجِبُهُ فَلْيَدْعُ لَهُ بِالْبَرَكَةِ فَإِنَّ الْعَيْنَ حَقٌّ. The Prophet ﷺ says, when one of you sees something inside himself, he looks inside the mirror and thinks, wow, mashallah, I'm so handsome. Okay, he doesn't say mashallah, he says, I'm so handsome. Or he looks at his wealth and he thinks to himself, I'm so wealthy. Or he looks at his family and he thinks, I've got this, X, Y, and Z. Not only in himself, but also min akhihi, if he sees it from his brother, from another Muslim, فَلْيَدْعُ لَهُ بِالْبَرَكَةِ. What should he do? He shouldn't just be amazed by it, but when he sees that he's amazed, when he realizes he's amazed by it, he should make the dua of barakah. He should say, Allahumma barik lahu, barakallahu fi. Or in any language, may Allah put barakah in X, Y, and Z, in myself, in my beauty, in my wealth. Okay. And when a person makes dua of barakah, this will stop the effects of the evil eye affecting what is in front of him. So we understand that the evil eye is real. It's something which exists. It's something which can be cast by the human. It can also be cast by jinn kind. Number three, it can be cast intentionally or unintentionally. And number four, The evil eye can be cast upon yourself, not necessarily on somebody else, it can be cast upon yourself as well. So we need to be very careful. And as I explained earlier, a few general points we need to understand is the evil eye is not, although we say evil eye, it's not necessarily relating to the eyes. It can be, an evil eye can be cast through listening to something beautiful, smelling something, thinking of something. In fact, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the evil eye in the Quran, He says, وَإِن يَكَادُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَيُزْلِقُونَكَ بِأَبْصَارِهِمْ لَمَّا سَمِعُوا الذِّكْرَ. When the Prophet ﷺ recited the Quran, the Quraysh, the disbelievers, were so mesmerized and so amazed by the Quran, and they had a sense of jealousy and hatred inside themselves, that لَيُزْلِقُونَكَ بِأَبْصَارِهِمْ. They were going to, the words of the Quran, they were going to trip you up with their eyes. But the Mufassirin explain this, that they were going to cast an evil eye on you. When I say evil eye, again, don't think just on the eye, because the Quran ayah says, لَمَّا سَمِعُوا الذِّكْرَ. When they heard the Quran, they were going to cast the evil eye. So they were going to cast the evil eye on the Prophet ﷺ, not because of looking at him, but because of hearing what he was saying. So we need to understand that the evil eye is not only something which can be cast from the eyes only, it's more general. Okay, even if somebody explains something to you, somebody describes something to a blind person, he still has the capability of affecting whatever it is through his evil eye. So, moving on to the next part, and in the next 4 minutes we have very briefly inshallah, what can we do to protect ourselves from the evil eye? What can we do to protect ourselves from the evil eye? There are certain points inshallah, not too complicated, very, very simple. As long as we hold on to them, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect us from the effects of the evil eye. Not only that, but how can we protect others from our evil eye? The first point is reading Fajr Salah. Okay, reading Fajr Salah. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, "Man salla subha fahuwa fi dhimmatillah." Whoever reads Fajr Salah, he is in the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, in another hadith, the hadith says, "Man salla subha fi jama'atin fahuwa fi dhimmatillah." Anybody who reads Fajr with jama'ah, he is in the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, other narrations are more general, and they say that anybody who reads Fajr, those who live close to the masjid should make an effort to come and read Salah with Jama'ah in the masjid. Those who are far from the masjid, inshallah, even if you read at home, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep you under His protection. As a side note, even those who are far from the masjid and read at home, they should still try and read with Jama'ah with their family. So number one is reading Fajr Salah with Jama'ah. Number two, we should try and avoid situations which will give others an opportunity to cast an evil eye on us. We should avoid situations which give others an opportunity to cast an evil eye on us. In the story of Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, when he sends his sons back to Misr, back to Egypt, to look for Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, وَقَالَ يَا بَنِي لَا تَدْخُلُوا مِنْ بَابٍ وَاحِدٍ وَادْخُلُوا مِنْ أَبْوَابٍ مُتَفَرِّقَةٍ. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he's got so many sons. They're not from Misr, they're from outside, so they're going to catch attention. Not only that, they are the sons of a prophet, naturally very handsome, very well built, very strong, all of them walking together through one gate. He feared that if they walk in a group together, the people of Misr will be so amazed by them that they will cast evil glances on them. So he says that Misr has certain doors, certain gates. So don't all enter through one gate, enter through separate gates, so that people, and the Mufassirun mentioned the reason he says this to his sons, is so that people do not cast evil eye on them. So number one is reading Salah with Jama'ah, Fajr Salah. And number two is we should avoid situations in which people can glance evil eyes on us. And very briefly, as a side point, we all know the issue of social media today. A lot of people, they share things with other individuals. They may know them, they may not know them. We should be careful of sharing pictures with people we know, let alone people we don't know. We should be careful, as I said earlier, even an evil eye is not necessarily cast by someone who wants to cast the evil eye. It can be cast unintentionally as well. Okay. Moving on, we should make a habit, and there are many du'as in the hadith, but inshallah will suffice with saying that we should all make an effort to learn these du'as. Inshallah we will learn these du'as, but as a starting point, we should make a habit of reciting mu'awwadatayn. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Every morning, every evening. In fact, it's sunnah to recite it after every salah as well. And not only that, we should teach our children, and if our children are very young, they can't read it themselves, we should read in front of them. So our child is in front of us, we can read upon him, blow upon our hands, and wipe it on him, whatever the system may be, inshallah. But we should try and teach them from an early age to recite mu'awwadatayn. And lastly is, if we fear that our evil glance may be cast upon somebody else, when we, as the hadith says, when we see something which amazes us, فَلْيَدْعُ لَهُ بِالْبَرَكَةِ, we should make an effort of making dua of barakah. Allahumma barik lahu, Allah give him barakah, barakallah fi. Whatever we know, in whatever language, we should make a habit of making dua of barakah. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولجميع المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور